Hello and welcome to the Weekend Edition. I'm Dr. Kingori Maze. Thank you for joining us for yet another classic episode of the Weekend Edition. Also, Maze, many thanks for your feedback on our previous episode, which featured neurosurgeons Dr. Beverly Cheserem and Dr. Peter Kitungu. But today we cover a topic we have thought about for some time, a topic that we have engaged some of you on. In fact, leo sana sana tunauliza maswali zenu. Every professional we have featured on this show, be it from the aviation industry, from the military, medicine, name them, they have all gone through the hands of teachers. So this is a special episode for teachers, special edition, teachers special edition. And a big thank you to every teacher who reached out, maze. I trust representation ya wenye tuko nao kwa show leo itaweza. Our guests for today are seasoned teachers, Mr. Vincent Emodo and Miss Jane Ndirangu in the house. We'll be talking to them in a bit. Our reporter Kenyan is also on standby with a special guestwork report. But first, former Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko this week shared this video of how much he was enjoying life outside politics. Haters have claimed that it's interesting how the good governor had to leave office for him to be constructive. Other people have not seen a big deal seeing Sonko in a construction site ati juu magavana kama wote wamekuwa accused of having at least one thing in common na wase wa mjei, kukula. In other news, President Uhuru last week opened a small arms factory in Ruiru, and one of the reactions that drew my attention to this story is a tweet by Leigh McQueen. Aliuliza, if Kenya can manufacture guns, why are we importing toothpicks? Someone who does not understand the depth of that question would think that guns and toothpicks can be used for the same thing, for the same reason. Ati mpaka to the level ya mtu anaweza shikwa na bunduki atumie hiyo kama excuse ya kujitetea. Apana hii hata sio silaha. Ni vile nimetoka kukula nyama. Now, the idea ya kutumia toothpick, kutumia bunduki kama toothpick can seem far-fetched, but it would make sense ukiona meno ya desagu. Now, I don't have a problem with Kenya manufacturing guns. In fact, it's a step in the right direction on the topic of we need to produce as a country. Unajua, for a long time, hata kwa entertainment tumekuwa na complaints ati hata adverts zinaenda kushutiwa nje. Now we are looking at a situation where the government is building capacity to shoot things locally. Napigwa na bunduki menini, shot by Kenya, build Kenya. Shot locally. Now, one thing you've got to appreciate about this move is the position it puts us as a country in the East African community. Can you imagine that within the same week that President Uhuru opened a gun factory, our neighbors in Uganda were dealing with Stone Age weapons?
Inter-security agencies have embarked on investigations into new terrorism activities being spearheaded by a new criminal gang using factory catapults. Police have in custody several criminals held for championing terror activities to destabilize the country's peace.
They are very dangerous because they are capable of firing metallic and clay-ball projectiles or metallic bearings.
Yani UG wako na ngori ya mafea design, it's almost a national disaster. Now, the good thing is that if those criminals are taken to court, Ugandans may have the chance to experience a fair trial. A fair trial. Now, especially in a case involving the police. Now, at first, observers did not understand how a catapult can be a threat to national security until they noticed that the country's national image is a bird. But still, that still doesn't justify that argument because in fact, that analogy cannot apply in Kenya. Huku hata uhitaji fare ndio uangushe ndege. Also, in other news, Gatundu South MP Moses Kuria spent a night in police custody for flouting COVID-19 rules. I know some of you may wonder how this is news. How can this be news na ni kitu hata imeandikwa kwa Biblia ati Moses alikuwa mzee wa kuvunja sheria? This story goes a long way to show how impractical the Bible times would be in the world of today. Ati Moses alishindwa kufikisha watoto wa Mungu home juu alishikwa akikata maji. Now, for this and other news making the news of people breaking COVID-19 protocols, our reporter Kenyan prepared the following report. Big up yourself, Kenyan. Now, I have thought about this video a lot.
The teacher is on the table. Again. The teacher is on the table. Again. The teacher is on the table.
Okay. Now, where's the teacher?
The teacher is on the table.
Where's the teacher now?
The teacher is on the table.
On the table?
Maze niliuliza wadau pale Facebook mahali tunaweza pata huyo mwalimu, mtu akaniambia ati yako under the table. Yaani nyinyi maze. Anyway, now these are just some of the things that teachers go through ndio wadau washike kitu kwa darasa maze. Show ya leo ni ya walimu. Ni about walimu, special dedication to walimu. Kwa sababu si wote si ni beneficiaries wa walimu one way or another. Alafu hii kwanza I had asked you on social media maswali zenye hazifai kukosa, and I'm happy to announce that show ya leo tunafanya na nyinyi. Our guests for this episode are two teachers, mmoja wa high school, mmoja wa primary school, both of them seasoned, and I guarantee you wako na good vibes. Mr. Vincent Emodo and Miss Ndirangu are joining us on the other end of this short commercial break. See you guys in a bit. Hi, I'm Dr. Kingori. There's something I'd really love to show you around this place. Calling this your home with from as low as 4.5 million Kenya shillings. I don't even need to mention it. For more information about this property, please visit www.ambavillasmalindi.com or use the contact details on your screen or click the link in the description below. Welcome back to the weekend edition. I'm Dr. Kingori. Vile tumewapromise maze episode leo ni special dedication ya walimu, and we have two wonderful teachers on set leo. Tuko na Mr. Vincent Emodo. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
We also have Miss Jane Ndirangu. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
Akiwe ni mpole. Unafunzanga hivyo?
No, not really. Sifunzangi hivyo.
Kuna energy nyingine ya kuchangamsha daro. Ndio watu washike. Samaki wapande mti. Sawa. Facebook yangu inakuwa na mambo, and the first complaint niliyoona ilinichekesha sana about teachers. Ilikuwa mtu anasema ati I like to give a vote of thanks to my school teacher. She was a prophet because I am nothing just like she prophesied.
You know, the power of the tongue.
Uh-huh.
The power of the tongue.
Very many people for the years that you've taught wamepitia kwa mkono yako, you have success stories.
Yeah.
You don't feel like they owe you?
No, no, they don't. I had an obligation to turn them to be what they are right now. And I'm very proud of who they are. And I don't feel they owe me anything. They don't. For me, I receive it as a blessing, and I believe that it's only God who can bless me,
Yes.
not a man.
Okay.
So when I see them prosper, making it in life, and they're doing well, you meet with them back in the village or in the street here in Nairobi or any other big town, you're so proud of yourself. And you actually, if you're in company with someone else, you introduce them, and this is my people, I taught them. It gives you that honor of feeling so proud that you brought up someone who is of beneficial to the country, to the society. Yeah, I don't feel they owe me anything.
And when
they
you
don't.
meet those who didn't make it, don't you feel like siku kupiga enough?
They will always remind you of how you caned them.
Yes.
Because when I started teaching, caning was allowed.
Wow.
Yeah.
You miss it? Do you miss it?
I do.
You miss caning?
I miss it. I miss caning in this way. It instilled discipline very well in these children. You can see the number of strikes in our schools, the indisciplined cases.
Yes.
They were so less by then. And I think my co-teacher here can concur with me. And the discipline cases were less. we didn't have this much of them. But now they've increased.
Yes.
They're there. These children being called the mom and daddy back at home. You don't cane them. You only keep on shouting, we, takuchapa, wacha kufanya hivyo. Back in my time when I was young, my mom would never tell me that.
Yes.
If she was to cane me, she was to do it thoroughly. And she would do it pointing at my mistake so that I would be able to recognize and be able to note that this is the mistake that I did. And I knew very well that these are mistakes that should not be repeated. I would be very careful not to step on that path back again. So caning was not bad, and I would even propose now that caning can be brought back to our schools.
Niliambia wadau that tunafanya hii show na wao, and I'll put questions zenye wameuliza. And I'll start with you. Victor Onyango aliuliza ati I would like to ask teachers why they gave me low marks when I wrote a composition about my dog. Did they know it better than me? Sasa.
Before even you describe your own dog,
yes,
keep in mind that the teacher knows a dog as well. Yeah, keep in mind that teacher knows a dog as well. So there are those kind of descriptions that you'll give out about your dog that are really questionable.
yes.
The other thing, despite you describing your dog, there are those things that are checked when you're writing a composition or an insha. The paragraphing, the punctuation marks,
Yes.
the capital letters, the small letters,
Yes,
your
yes,
handwriting, the way you express yourself in writing. So despite you telling me about your dog, remember I know a dog as well.
And that goes into the training is not about what a student thinks, it's about what needs to be ingrained into
the writing itself.
Okay, sawa sawa. Mwalimu, I'll ask you to respond to something different.
Yes, sir.
Ask the teachers why they forced us to support the motion that education is better than money. I was beaten for supporting money is better than education. I wish I knew. So, as in the things that we learn in school,
Yes.
this goes to the question, how do they help us in life? Unafunza geography,
Yes, sir.
right?
Yes.
Kama mimi acha nijiongelee, sijatumia mawe.
Yes.
I don't think I've interacted with sedimentary rocks anywhere in my life.
Yes.
Mpaka tulienda tukatembelea mlima inaitwa Karoe ndio tuone mawe na sijazitumia.
All right.
Mawe inanisaidiaje kwa hii maisha?
First of all, learning doesn't take place in a vacuum. Learning takes place in a context.
Yes.
And in this context, as my colleague said, is a context we are familiar with. Now, pointing out to geography, which you said you are taken to some mulima and sasa hii mawe hataikusaidi. No, I disagree with you.
Yes.
There is a lot that you learned in that process. In any case, at the end of the day, it's not just about the mawe. It's about what you learn about the mawe.
Yes.
Because you'll need that mawe for construction, you'll need that mawe as soil for farming, you'll need that mawe for sculpturing. There is so much about that mawe that we can learn. Not necessarily that learning mawe, maybe hopefully it will help you. Even right now, you as a journalist, you can do a piece about rocks. And that piece about rocks maybe is associated with a particular mineral. You see that? So at the end of the day, everything we learn, including myself, I was a very poor student of mathematics, for example. I would question, sasa itanisaidia nani? But wait a minute, did you know when I go to the shop to buy an item with a note of 1,000 shillings, did you know I need to confirm that change? There is a lot. We were supposed to be here by 3. So that we keep time. We learn that in class. It's a mathematical concept.
Dr. Babake Ron Jan J. I believe hiyo si jina anaandika kwa mtihani. Why the male teachers, anapenda kuuliza walimu, why male teachers have the same pullover? And this is a conversation to have na aliniuliza ati nivae aje? Nikamwambia vaa kama mwalimu. Akaniambia, na ndio huyu Dr. Babake Ron J anasema, why male teachers have the same pullover and jacket every day and bicycles? Walimu na baiskeli ni chanda na pete.
Oh my goodness.
How do you feel about these stereotypes kama hizo about teachers?
Yeah, those stereotypes are real.
Yes.
Especially when we go back to our roots. Like Dube sang a song about roots.
Yes.
That is when you go back to the villages there. I remember when I was growing up, we used to see these things. They are real.
Yes.
So the guy there is real.
Yes.
Yeah, teacher comes Monday, Friday, next month, same shirt, same pullover, same everything. It is true.
Yes.
But then again, it boils down to an individual. Dr. Kingor, look, I am a teacher. I had a father. The way my predisposition in terms of grooming,
yes.
I learned it from my father. Okay. And by the way you look at me, this is how I appear in class.
Okay.
You see, I am a role model. Yes. You cannot tell a student to do that which you cannot.
Okay.
You see, that's the thing. For instance, you tell a student, tuck in your shirt. Yet we mwenye umevaa mshipi kama ile wa Masai, imezunguka kiuno mara kadhaa, and it is still hanging here.
Yes.
I mean, that student will look at you funny, look at this one. Yeah. And that's why you are busy teaching, the belt is dancing, students are busy, nibbling, throwing at you, making fun of you, drawing you, using you for all those kind of stereotypes. So it is real.
A lady called Lek Debbie, LEC, anasema kwani mwalimu akiset mtihani rahisi atakufa. Do you have fun watching young human beings struggle?
We set exams on what we have taught.
Yes.
We never challenge these learners. Then when they are not able to answer their questions the correct way, this is when we have logheads with the parent. They'll start accusing you, you hate my child, you never taught. And at the end of the day, when you have a sitting with them and you go through the content that was supposed to be taught, everything was taught maybe to a whole term or to a month, depending with what you had organized and prepared for the learners. So it's not a crime to, let me not say it's not a crime, or it's not that we cannot set an exam that is not easy. All the exams are easy. It depends with the child's ability.
Are there no instances when deliberately you actually set people up with challenges that are meant for the military, like putting maths after lunch? Is there science to creating, say, like the timetable? Why do you put maths and minis or sciences after lunch?
I think this does mostly happen in high school. In the primary levels, mathematics and others are done. Mathematics, maybe English. They're done in the morning when the minds are very fresh. I don't know why, and actually even the current exam that is going, the KCSE, you'll end up hearing that the learners, they are doing the exam maybe at noon time. The mathematics, biologies, the chemistry.
You don't do that in primary school?
We don't. Ours, it's only the composition and the issues that are done in the afternoon, and that one just takes 40 to 45 minutes.
Do you want to andike fantasy? That's very strategic. That is very nice. Yes?
Let me say this.
Yes.
Like that, there's a lot that goes into an instruction. By instruction, I mean learning process.
Yes.
We call it teaching learning process.
Yes. That
at the end of the day has to be assessed. I don't want to go to the technicalities, but let me put it this lightly. In a class, there are different categories of learners. Even all of us in this studio, there are those learners we call above average. Those are the students, when results are out, they march courageously with their heads straight at the top.
You know them. You know them even from Ukingia.
Of course, as a teacher, when I walk into a class, I greet my not just immediate like that. As I walk into my class for an instruction, at the end of the day, there are what we call learning objectives. At the end of the 40 minutes things.
Yes.
So the second category are what we call the average students. These are students who are neither weak, neither very strong. Yani wanacheza hapo. Kuna kitu mtaani wanasema kuchezea hapo.
Yes.
Then they are below average learners. So at the end of the day, you should have that in mind when you walk into any class. And in the process of teaching and the evaluation thereof, there's what we usually say we should have a normal curve. This curve that goes like that. There are those ones at the top, kwa katikati ambao inakuanga ni wengi, then you also expect a few huko.
So in short, before uendelee, in a class that hapa hawa watakuwa na head straight, hapa neither here nor there, na pale amwendi mahali.
No, you can't.
Pale I'm wasting my time.
No, you can't point them out like that.
But you know them psychologically.
But at the back of your mind, that informs even the process. That's why you prepare. You don't just walk to class.
Does that affect your marking? Like,
yes.
Mata nikimpatia nini, hata sitaangalia, naweza mpatia 40% na atakuwa amepata hiyo. That's what they decide.
First of all, let me tell you, I'm a human being. I'm just a human being, but a teacher in that case. So let me tell you something in response to that. Anasema mbona nikisetu mtihani rahisi kwani nitakufa.
Yes.
So there is no easy or difficult exam. When I set exam taking into consideration these three group of learners. There will be a question for the average, there will be a question for the above average, there will be a question for the below average. You see that? And it could be the same question. It could be the same question taking care of those what we call learner difference or abilities of learners are different. Yeah. So utakuta the above average student may answer all of them. The average may answer 3, if it's out of 5 questions, may answer 3 or 2. But the below average may answer at least 1. So at the end of the day, I want to tell you this. Hakuna mtoto mjinga at the end of the day.
Yes.
Hakuna mtoto mjinga. All these students, in one way or the other, they are gifted differently. So as a teacher, them before me, it is up to me to prepare a teaching and learning experience yenye itakuza these differences so that it manifests in positive outcomes.
Do you as a teacher get to tell your children the truth? Not the children, the parents the truth. Like, hey mama, hapa hii pesa yako yenye unatuletea hapa. Okay.
Let me say this, Dr. Kingori. It's good to be honest. It is always good to be honest.
Yes.
And you've been brought this child and you've been entrusted this child by the parent.
Yes.
And the school itself.
Yes.
And maybe you've taught this child for a whole year and maybe they're not grasping the content that you're teaching.
Yes.
It is always good and advisable to have a sitting with the parent and be very honest with it. It won't make you less a teacher.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you'll be relieved because you gave the true picture of the learner. Yes. You are very honest about the learner. And it's up to the parent to take it up to there. What do I do? Am I ready to bring the teacher closer to the learner and the learner closer to the teacher so that they can walk this journey together? And as a parent, what am I entitled to do after this? Yes, my learner is below average. What do I do as a parent?
Yes.
You give the advice as a teacher. Okay. This can be done if you do this, if you give this give this approach to the teaching of this child, it might change them. If we stop doing this and let's give another different approach altogether, the learner might change. It is always good to be honest to the parent. But when you keep quiet, that's when you'll have the differences. The parent will come and they will always be on the right. Okay. Yes, you knew my learner, my child is gifted in this way. You never talked about it. You never told me. You never had a sitting with me to discuss about these issues. It is always good to be honest about the child's ability.
Umefunza ushago?
Yeah.
Mahali watoto can qualify as parents. Uko na mtoto kwa darasa na mnatoshana. Have you heard those instances? Because that's part of the challenges that teachers face.
Most of my years I've interacted with the young ones. So I don't think that has
But
been a challenge to me.
But you've seen them. But teachers have a strategy. Ukiona mtu ni mkubwa sana, unamuita kwa staff room. You don't kill them privately. These are some of the tactics you use. You teach a girls' school.
Yes.
Ni mmekuwa na hiyo?
I've thought across mixed.
Umekutana na mtu mnatoshana na yeye na unataka ashike ledger.
Age.
Let me call this an appreciation episode for teachers, and I believe you have represented them very well. Asanteni na asanteni sana sana sana. Na history kama ijaisha kitu tumeacha, najua we can actually pick it up again. Na tuendelee. Asanteni na asanteni sana. That said, pia I also like to give a special thank you to all the teachers who made me. Walimu wa Embu Urban Primary School na Ngovio Boys massive. Unajua I was so tempted to call walimu wetu wa Ngovio Boys kwa sababu tunajuana on that level. I know them, I know the nicknames, but mume represent poa sana. Asanteni.
Thank you too for inviting us.
Nashukuru sana.
Karibuni tena.
Appreciate
That's it for the weekend edition. See you next week. My name is Dr. Kingori.